The hospital corridor felt unusually quiet that evening, the kind of silence that makes every small sound echo louder than it should. Armin wasn't supposed to be there yet. His return flight had been rescheduled. He had told no one, not his friends, not even his wife, Sarah. He smiled to himself as he walked toward his mother's room. He imagined her face lighting up. She had been recovering slowly. Every call with her had sounded weaker than the last, but she always reassured him. "I'm fine, Beta," she would say softly. "Just come when you can." He had come early, because something in her voice didn't feel right, something he couldn't explain. He tightened his grip on the small bouquet in his hand. Her favorite flowers. White lilies. Fresh, calm, gentle, just like her. As he reached the door, he noticed something strange. It was slightly open, not fully closed, not the way nurses usually leave it. He slowed down. His smile faded. Inside, he could hear faint voices. One of them was Sarah's, his wife. She wasn't supposed to be there at this hour. Visiting hours were over. A flicker of confusion crossed his face. He stepped closer, carefully, quietly, and then he heard something that made his heart stop. "You need to take this," Sarah said, her voice low but firm. Armin froze. There was a pause. Then his mother's weak voice replied, "I don't feel comfortable." Sarah interrupted, "You don't have a choice anymore." The words didn't sound like concern. They sounded like control. Armin's breath grew shallow. He leaned slightly toward the opening, his pulse pounding in his ears. Inside, Sarah stood near the bed, her posture calm, too calm. In her hand was a small cup. His mother lay there, fragile, hesitant, her hand trembling slightly. "I said I don't want it," she whispered again. Sarah sighed, not with patience, with irritation. "You've been resisting for days," she said coldly. "This is necessary." Necessary? Armin's mind raced. Necessary for what? He had never seen Sarah like this. Not once. She had always been caring, soft-spoken, supportive. At least, that's what he believed. The bouquet slipped slightly in his grip. He didn't notice. Inside, his mother turned her head away weakly. Sarah's expression hardened. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," she said, her tone sharper now, more forceful. Armin felt something inside him shift. A crack, a doubt, a fear. Why was Sarah speaking like this? Why did his mother sound afraid? He took a step forward, then stopped. Something told him to wait, to listen, to understand before reacting. Inside the room, Sarah placed a cup on the table. She crossed her arms, her eyes fixed on the fragile woman in the bed. "You think he'll believe you," she said quietly. Armin's chest tightened. His mind struggled to process the words. His mother looked at her with weak, tired eyes. "He trusts you," Sarah continued. "He trusts me more." Silence filled the room. Heavy, uncomfortable. Armin felt his heartbeat echo in his skull. This wasn't normal. This wasn't right. His mother gathered what little strength she had. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly. Sarah didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked closer to the bed, leaning slightly. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Because some people don't know when it's time to let go." Armin's fingers went numb. The bouquet fell to the floor, petals scattering silently. His world tilted. What did she mean by that? What was she implying? He felt anger rising. Fast, hot, uncontrollable. But beneath the anger was fear. A deep, unsettling fear. Inside, Sarah picked up the cup again. She held it out, closer this time. "Drink it," she said. His mother closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek. And in that moment, Armin couldn't stay silent anymore. He pushed the door open. Hard. The sound echoed through the room. Sarah turned instantly. Shock flashed across her face. "Armin." His mother's eyes widened. Relief, fear, confusion. All at once. "What's going on?" Armin demanded, his voice shaking with controlled rage. No one answered immediately. The air felt suffocating. Sarah recovered first. "You're early," she said, forcing a smile. But her voice betrayed her. It wasn't steady. Armin stepped inside, his eyes locked on the cup in her hand. "What is that?" Sarah hesitated. just for a second, but he noticed. "It's medicine," she said, "for her recovery." Armin looked at his mother. She shook her head slightly, barely noticeable, but enough to break something inside him completely. "Then why doesn't she want to take it?" he asked. Sarah's expression tightened. "She's confused," she replied quickly. "It happens at this stage." But Armin wasn't listening anymore, because for the first time, he saw something in his wife's eyes, something he had never seen before. Not love, not concern, but calculation. Cold, precise, and terrifying. He took a slow step closer. "Give it to me," he said. Sarah didn't move. The silence stretched. Tense. Dangerous. "Armin, you're overreacting." "I said give it to me." His voice was firmer now, sharper. Sarah slowly handed over the cup. Their fingers brushed briefly. Her hand was cold, unnaturally cold. Armin looked down at the liquid, clear, almost harmless looking. But something felt wrong, very wrong. He turned toward his mother. "Have you been taking this?" She hesitated, then whispered, "She gives it to me every night." A chill ran down his spine. Every night? Why didn't anyone tell him? Why didn't the doctors mention it? His thoughts collided, fast, chaotic. He looked back at Sarah. Which doctor prescribed this? Sarah opened her mouth, then paused, just long enough to confirm his worst fear. Something wasn't right. Something was deeply, dangerously wrong. And in that moment, Armin realized something that made his blood run cold. He didn't really know the woman he had married. Not at all. The room felt colder now, not because of the air, but because of the silence that followed. Armin stood still. The cup in his hand suddenly felt heavier than it should, as if it carried more than just liquid, as if it carried truth, dangerous truth. He turned slightly toward the door. "Don't move," he said quietly. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Armin, you're making this dramatic for no reason," she replied. But her voice lacked conviction. That confidence she always had was slipping. Armin ignored her. He stepped out into the hallway. His heart beat loud, sharp, unforgiving. He spotted a nurse at the far end. "Excuse me," he called out. The nurse turned, surprised. "Yes." Armin held up the cup. "Is this part of my mother's treatment?" The nurse frowned, confused. She walked closer, took a careful look, then looked back at him. "I've never seen this before," she said. Armin's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "We only administer medications through approved prescriptions," she explained. "This isn't from us." A long pause. The world around him seemed to blur. "Are you sure?" he asked. "I'm absolutely sure," she replied firmly. His grip tightened around the cup, his worst fear slowly becoming real. He nodded slowly. "Thank you." Then he turned back, walking toward the room again, each step heavier than the last. Inside, Sarah hadn't moved. She stood near the bed, still, watching, waiting. Armin entered, closed the door behind him, gently this time, too gently, the calm before something breaking. "The nurse says this isn't from the hospital," he said. His voice was controlled, but just barely. Sarah didn't respond immediately. She looked at him, studied him, as if calculating her next move. "They're not aware of everything," she said finally. Armin let out a hollow laugh. "Not aware?" He stepped closer. "Or you're lying?" His mother shifted slightly in the bed, her eyes darting between them, fear growing. "Armin, listen to me," Sarah said, her tone softening again. "This is something I arranged privately." "Why?" he shot back instantly. "For her benefit." That answer wasn't enough. Not anymore. "Which doctor?" Silence. Again, the same hesitation. The same crack. Armin's patience snapped. "Which doctor, Sarah?" His voice echoed in the room. His mother flinched. Sarah's expression hardened. For a moment, she dropped the act completely. "No one you know," she said flatly. The words hit like a slap. No emotion, no softness, just cold truth or something close to it. Armin stared at her, trying to recognize the woman in front of him, but she felt like a stranger now, a complete stranger. "You've been giving her something every night," he said slowly. Something the hospital doesn't know about. Yes, Sarah replied. No denial this time. No hesitation. Just a simple, terrifying confirmation. Why? The question hung in the air. Heavy, demanding. Sarah exhaled slowly, as if tired of pretending. You wouldn't understand, she said. Then make me understand. Their eyes locked. A silent battle. Power shifting. Truth inching closer. Finally, Sarah spoke. She's not getting better, Armin. I know that, he snapped. No, she said sharply. You don't. Her voice rose slightly, frustration leaking through. She's getting worse. Armin shook his head. That doesn't justify. She's suffering. Sarah interrupted. The word echoed, loud, raw, emotional. For the first time, there was something real in her voice. Something almost convincing. Armin paused, just for a second. But then, she told me she doesn't want it, he said firmly. That should be enough. Sarah looked at him, long, deep. And what if she doesn't know what's best for her anymore? That question cut deep, too deep. Armin clenched his jaw. She's my mother, and I'm your wife. The tension snapped tight again. The room felt like it was closing in. His mother's weak voice broke through. Please stop. Both of them turned. She looked exhausted, drained, caught in something she couldn't control. Armin moved closer to her, held her hand gently. I'm here, he said softly. You don't have to take anything you don't want. Tears formed in her eyes. Small, shaking, relieved. Sarah watched them, her expression unreadable. But something had changed, something subtle. Her calm was gone, replaced by something sharper, more desperate. You're making a mistake, she said quietly. Armin didn't look at her. I don't think I am. A long silence followed. Then Sarah spoke again. But this time, her words were different, more dangerous. If you stop this now, she paused, as if choosing her words carefully. You'll regret it. Armin slowly turned his head. What does that mean? Sarah tilted her head slightly, studying him again. You trust what you see, she said, but you don't know the full story. Then tell me. Another pause, another moment of tension. Then, she wasn't always like this, Sarah said softly. Armin frowned. What are you talking about? Sarah stepped closer, lowering her voice, asking questions, repeating things, calling people who aren't there. Armin's grip tightened around his mother's hand. That's not true. But doubt, it had already entered his mind. Small, quiet, dangerous. Sarah saw it, and for the first time, she smiled. Not warmly, not kindly, but knowingly. You've been away, Armin, she said. You didn't see what I saw. His mother shook her head weakly. No, she whispered, but her voice was too faint, too fragile. Armin looked between them, confusion rising, truth slipping further away. Who was telling the truth? Who was lying? Or worse, what if both were? Sarah took another step forward, lowering her voice even more. There's something else you don't know, she said. Armin's eyes narrowed. What? She leaned slightly closer and whispered, the doctor didn't tell you everything about her condition. Armin's heart skipped. What are you saying? But Sarah didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped back, letting the silence stretch again, letting the doubt grow. And in that moment, Armin realized something even more terrifying. This wasn't just about a drink. This wasn't just about control. There was a bigger truth, something hidden beneath everything, something he hadn't seen yet. And whatever it was about to change everything. The words lingered in the air, heavy, unfinished. The doctor didn't tell you everything. Armin felt his chest tighten, a strange pressure building inside him. What didn't he tell me? He asked slowly. Sarah didn't respond immediately. She walked toward the window, calm, composed, too composed. You should ask yourself, she said quietly, why they kept you away for so long. Armin frowned. What are you talking about? Sarah turned, her expression unreadable. You think it was coincidence? His mind started racing again. Flight delays, last-minute schedule changes, missed calls from the hospital, things he had brushed aside, ignored, because trusting felt easier. "Say it clearly," he demanded. "No more games." Sarah took a deep breath. Then, finally, she was diagnosed months ago. Armin blinked. Diagnosed with what? A pause. A long one, as if the word itself carried weight. Then Sarah said it. Severe cognitive decline. The room went silent. Completely silent. Armin shook his head instantly. No, his voice firm, refusing. That's not true. Sarah didn't argue, didn't raise her voice. She simply watched him. You weren't here, she said. I was. His mother stirred slightly, her fingers tightening weakly around his. Don't believe, she whispered, but her voice cracked, faded. Sarah stepped closer again. You think she's been normal? She asked softly. Armin's jaw clenched. She talks to you, recognizes you, loves you. Sarah's eyes sharpened. Only you. That hit differently. Armin paused. What? She remembers you, Sarah continued, but not always reality. The words felt like knives. Slow, precise, dangerous. That's a lie, he said again. But this time, his voice wasn't as strong. Sarah noticed. Of course she did. She's been calling me by different names, Sarah said. Sometimes she thinks I'm someone else. Armin looked at his mother. Her eyes were closed now, tired, fragile. She gets scared at night, Sarah continued. Paranoid, confused. Each word built pressure. Each sentence chipped away at certainty. You're twisting things, Armin said. But doubt, it was growing, quietly, relentlessly. Sarah took one final step closer, lowering her voice. That drink. Armin's grip tightened again. Yes. It's meant to calm her episodes. Silence. Armin stared at the cup again. Clear liquid. Still, innocent looking. But now, it felt different. What if she was telling the truth? What if he had walked in at the wrong moment and misunderstood everything? His thoughts turned against him. Fast. Unstable. You should have told me, he said quietly. Sarah's expression softened slightly. I tried, she replied, but you were always busy. A sharp sting of guilt hit him. Late calls. Short conversations. Promises to visit soon. Had he missed something important? Had he failed her? His mother's eyes opened slowly. No, she whispered, but her voice felt distant, weak, as if she was slipping away from the moment. Armin leaned closer. Amy, tell me the truth, he said softly. She looked at him, long, deep, searching his face, as if trying to hold on to something. I don't remember, she murmured. His heart sank. Those words, they cut deeper than anything Sarah had said. Sarah watched silently, then spoke again. She doesn't even remember what she said 5 minutes ago. Armin closed his eyes briefly, trying to think, trying to separate truth from manipulation. But everything felt blurred now, unclear, unstable. This isn't right, he said. I need to talk to the doctor. Sarah nodded slowly. Of course. Too easily, too quickly. That calm returned again, and something about it didn't sit right. Armin stepped back, still holding the cup, still unsure. I'm taking this with me, he said. Sarah didn't stop him, didn't argue, just watched. That same quiet expression on her face. Go ahead, she said. And that was the moment something clicked. Why wasn't she stopping him? If this was truly important, why let him walk away with it so easily? A small doubt flipped direction, back toward her, sharp, suspicious. Armin walked to the door, paused, then turned back one last time. Sarah stood still, almost patient, as if she knew something he didn't, as if she was waiting for him to discover it. And that was when he noticed it. Something small, something almost invisible, but impossible to ignore once seen. The tray beside the bed. Different cups, different sizes, not identical. His eyes narrowed. Where did you get this? He asked suddenly. Sarah glanced at the tray, then back at him. From the pharmacy, she said casually. But Armin stepped closer, examining it carefully. Something was off, very off. because one of the cups still had a faint marking at the bottom, a label, almost erased, but not completely. Armin picked it up, turned it slightly, and his breath caught, because written in small, faded letters was a name, not his mother's, not Sarah's, a completely different name. His heart started pounding again, louder, faster, more urgent than before. He looked up, slowly, at Sarah. "Who is this?" he asked. Sarah didn't answer. For the first time, she looked caught, just for a second. But that second was enough. Enough to confirm everything wasn't what it seemed. The silence grew heavy again. But this time, it carried a different kind of truth, a darker one, because now Armin realized something chilling. This wasn't just about his mother's condition. This wasn't just about the drink. There was someone else involved. Someone he didn't know. Someone whose name was sitting right there on a cup meant for his mother. And whatever that meant, it was far worse than he had imagined. The name on the cup refused to fade from Armin's mind. It didn't belong in that room. It didn't belong anywhere near his mother. Yet there it was, clear enough to read, impossible to ignore. "Who is this?" Armin repeated, his voice lower now, more dangerous. Sarah's silence stretched for a moment too long. Then she exhaled slowly, as if something inside her had finally decided no more pretending. "It's not what you think," she said. Armin let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "That's exactly what people say when it is what I think." He held the cup up. "Explain it." Sarah's eyes flickered. Not fear, not guilt, something else. Conflict. "You're rushing to conclusions," she replied. "Then slow me down with the truth." Their eyes locked again, tension rising, thick, unavoidable. "Finally, that name," Sarah began, her voice quieter now, "belongs to someone who was in this room before your mother." Armin frowned. "What?" "The previous patient," she continued. "They left some supplies behind." Armin didn't react immediately. He just stared at her, processing, testing her words. "And you thought it was fine to use random cups of medication?" Sarah hesitated. "It didn't matter." "It matters now," Armin snapped. His grip tightened, because something still didn't add up. Nothing about this felt accidental. Nothing felt careless. It felt intentional. And that realization burned. "Enough," he said. "I'm done guessing." He turned toward the door again. "I'm calling the doctor. Right now." Sarah's voice came quickly this time. "Wait." He stopped, slowly turned back. That single word, it carried urgency. Real urgency. Something had shifted. "You said you'd explain," he reminded her. Sarah looked at him, long, steady. Then finally, "I didn't tell you everything," she admitted. The air in the room changed instantly. Armin's chest tightened again. "What else is there?" Sarah swallowed. For the first time, she looked unsure. Not calculating. Not controlled. Just human. "There's a treatment plan," she said. Armin frowned. "What kind of treatment plan?" "One that the hospital won't officially support." That sentence landed hard. Too hard. "Why not?" Sarah looked away briefly, then back at him. "Because it's not standard." Armin's patience snapped again. Stopped speaking in circles. His voice echoed sharply. "Say it clearly." A pause. Then, "It's experimental." Silence. The word hung in the air. Cold. Unsettling. Armin felt a chill run through him. "Experimental?" he repeated. Sarah nodded slowly. "There are cases where it helps slow cognitive decline," she explained. "But it's not fully approved." Armin stared at her. "You've been giving her something unapproved?" "I've been trying to help her." Sarah shot back, emotion finally breaking through. Raw, unfiltered. "You think I'd just sit there and watch her disappear?" Her voice cracked slightly, and for the first time, there was pain in it. Real pain. But Armin didn't soften. "Not yet. You had no right," he said firmly. "I'm her family. And I'm part of this family, too." Sarah replied instantly. "I've been the one here every single day." The room filled with their voices. Sharp, clashing, years of unspoken tension rising to the surface. "You made this decision alone," Armin said. Yes, Sarah admitted, without hesitation this time. I did. That honesty, it hit differently, harder than denial ever could. Why? The question came out quieter now. Less anger, more need for truth. Sarah looked at his mother, lying there, fragile, fading, then back at him. Because the doctors already gave up, she said softly. They stopped trying. Armin's expression shifted, slightly, almost unnoticeable, but inside, something moved. They didn't tell me that, he said. Sarah gave a faint, bitter smile. Of course they didn't. Why? Because you weren't here to ask. That sentence cut deep, sharper than anything else. Armin looked down. Just for a second, guilt creeping in again. But then, his mind snapped back. This still doesn't explain the way you were talking to her, he said. Sarah's expression hardened slightly. She refuses to take it, she replied. Every time. And maybe that means something, Armin said. Maybe she knows something you don't. Sarah shook her head. No. Her voice firm again. She's scared, confused. Or maybe she just doesn't trust you. Armin shot back. That line hit. Hard. Sarah went still. Completely still. The silence that followed was different this time. Heavier. More personal. Then, she used to trust me, Sarah said quietly. Armin didn't respond. She used to talk to me, she continued. Laugh with me. Her voice softened, fading into something distant. But then something changed. Armin frowned slightly. What do you mean? Sarah looked at his mother again, her eyes lingering. There were moments, she said slowly, when she would look at me like she knew something. A chill passed through the room. Armin felt it too. What kind of something? He asked. Sarah hesitated, then spoke carefully, like she didn't trust me anymore. Silence. Armin glanced at his mother, her breathing slow, uneven, fragile, then back at Sarah. And why would she feel that way? The question was direct, sharp, unavoidable. Sarah didn't answer immediately. Her eyes met his, and for the first time, there was something in them that hadn't been there before. Fear, not for herself, but of something being exposed. I don't know, she said quietly, but Armin didn't believe her. Not fully, not anymore, because pieces weren't fitting. Not cleanly, not honestly, and deep down, he felt it. This wasn't the full truth, not even close. Then suddenly, a faint sound broke the silence. A weak voice, barely audible. Both of them turned instantly. His mother's eyes were open again, struggling, fighting to focus. Armin, she whispered. He rushed to her side. I'm here, Emmy. Her hand gripped his weakly, but this time there was urgency in it, a desperate kind of urgency. She. Her voice trembled, strained. Sarah stepped forward slightly, tense, watching closely. What is it? Armin asked softly. His mother's eyes flickered toward Sarah, then back to him, and with the last bit of strength she had, she whispered something that made his entire world collapse. She's not doing this for me. Armin froze. His heart skipped. What do you mean? His mother's lips trembled again, her voice barely there. She's doing it because of you. Silence. Complete silence. Armin slowly turned his head, looked at Sarah. Confusion, shock, fear, all crashing at once. What does that mean? He asked. Sarah didn't answer. She just stood there, still, watching him. And in that moment, everything shifted again, because now the question wasn't just about the medicine, or the treatment, or even the truth. Now the question was something far more terrifying. What did he have to do with any of this? The words echoed in Armin's mind. She's doing it because of you. They didn't make sense. Not yet, but they carried weight. A terrifying kind of weight. Armin slowly stood up, his hand slipping from his mother's. His eyes locked onto Sarah. What does she mean? His voice was low, unsteady, but demanding answers. Sarah didn't speak immediately. For the first time since all of this began, she looked cornered, not defensive, not calculated, just trapped. Say something, Armin shouted. The pressure in the room snapped. Sarah closed her eyes briefly, as if gathering strength, then opened them again, and this time there was no act left, no mask, only truth. "You really don't remember, do you?" she said quietly. Armin frowned. "Remember what?" Sarah let out a slow breath. All of this." She gestured around the room. The hospital, her condition, the treatment. Her voice trembled slightly. "It didn't start with me." A cold silence followed. Armin felt his heartbeat rising again. "What are you talking about?" Sarah stepped closer, not aggressively, not cautiously, just carefully. "Asking me questions like this," she said softly. "This isn't the first time." Armin's expression shifted, confusion deepening. "What do you mean?" Sarah's eyes filled slightly, but she didn't look away. "You've asked me the same things before," she said. "The same accusations." The room felt like it tilted. "That's not possible," Armin replied quickly, but his voice lacked certainty. Sarah shook her head gently. "It is." A long pause. Then, "You came to the hospital early once before," she said. Armin's chest tightened. "No. You saw me giving her the treatment." "No. You reacted exactly like this." "Stop it." His voice rose, shaking now, unstable. Sarah didn't stop, because now there was no reason to. "You took the cup from me," she continued. "You questioned everything." Armin stepped back, his breathing uneven, his mind spinning. "Then what?" he asked, barely able to speak. Sarah hesitated, just for a second, then said it. "You forgot." Silence. Pure, crushing silence. Armin's world felt like it cracked open. "That's not true," he whispered. But even he didn't believe it fully, because something deep inside him, something buried, was starting to stir. Fragments, broken pieces, unclear memories, a hospital hallway, a dropped bouquet, voices, the same voices, the same moment, again and again and again. He grabbed his head slightly. "No." Sarah stepped closer. "You've been forgetting things for months, Armin," she said gently. "You just didn't realize it." His breathing grew heavier. "That's impossible." Sarah shook her head. "It's not." Her voice softened even more. "The doctors wanted to tell you." Armin looked up sharply. "What?" "They tried," she said, "but you didn't want to hear it." A long pause, then the final piece. "You have the same condition she does." Everything stopped. Time, sound, thought, all of it, gone. Armin stared at her, blank, broken. "No." His voice barely existed now. "That's why you were away," Sarah continued. "Tests, evaluations, treatment plans." His hands trembled. "You said it was work." "I didn't want to scare you," she replied, tears now slipping down her face. "You were already struggling." Armin looked at his mother, lying there, weak, fading, and suddenly he saw it, not just her condition, but a reflection of what he was becoming. "No," he whispered again, but this time it sounded different, less denial, more realization. Sarah stepped even closer. "I wasn't trying to hurt her," she said. "I was trying to slow it down." Her voice broke. "For both of you." The truth hit all at once. Heavy, unavoidable. Everything she did, every word, every action. Twisted, but not cruel. Desperate, flawed, but human. Armin's legs felt weak. He sat down slowly, the room spinning slightly. "I don't remember," he said, and that was the scariest part. Sarah knelt in front of him. "You won't always remember," she said softly, "but I'm still here." Silence filled the space between them. Not tense this time, not hostile, just heavy, real. Behind them, his mother stirred again, a faint smile touching her lips, as if, in some small way, she understood. Armin looked at Sarah, really looked at her, for the first time since walking in. No suspicion, no anger, just clarity, painful clarity. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Sarah hesitated, then answered honestly. "We take it one day at a time." A tear rolled down his cheek, unnoticed, unstopped, And in that moment, the truth settled in. Not loud, not dramatic, but permanent. Some battles aren't about winning. They're about holding on for as long as you can, to the people you love, to the memories you still have, and to the pieces of yourself before they slowly fade away.